One of the questions I hear most often about the AP exam is this: how do I get faster when writing the DBQ? And I know the DBQ is a source of endless stress for you guys, and that stress is only multiplied by that relentless ticking of the clock. So there are ways to get faster, and in this video I'm going to tell you exactly what they are. So if you're ready to get them brain cows milked, well then let's get to it. Well, hey there, I'm Steve Heimler, and I'm here to help you get an A in your class and a 5 on your exam in May. And when it comes to the DBQ, you have 60 minutes to read and interpret 7 documents that they give you, and then write a coherent essay using those documents as evidence for an argument. And weighing in at 25% of your overall score, you can't afford to write a bad essay here. So tip number 1, use my DBQ planning sheet to plan your essay. The suggested reading period for the documents is 15 minutes, and that's not a lot of time. So if you can be efficient during this time, all the better. If you use my DBQ planning sheet, it'll take you through a process for planning your essay step by step. Now, of course, it would be most against the rules to bring that sweet little bippy into the testing facility with you. But the more you practice with it before you get there, the more ingrained those planning steps will become. So if you have a plan for that 15 minutes, you are more likely to start writing when that period is over and actually have some idea of what to write about, and thus you will get faster. Tip number 2, understand how the documents are chosen. So many students turn the page to the DBQ and they just start reading the documents to try to figure out what they all mean. And that can be very confusing because, as I never tire of reminding you, when you are under pressure, you are dumber than you think. It's true for me and it's true for you. And so a common experience is to start reading these documents and be like, what do these have to do with anything? The time you spend trying to figure out what those documents mean is a waste of time. So here's where I tell you that you have to step inside the shoes of the people who made this exam. They came up with a prompt for you to write about, and then they went searching for documents that could be used as evidence. And when they did that, they chose documents that were related to each other and could be grouped into different categories. I know that they might seem random and unconnected to you, but they are not. So that means that when you're reading them, try to figure out what these categories are that the exam writers had in mind. Oh look, here's an excerpt from a treaty, and here's an excerpt from a piece of legislation. There must be some political realities that I can use to answer the question. So, just look for those connections. And tip 3, and frankly the granddaddy of all tips, you can get much faster if you know exactly how much you need to write in order to earn points and nothing more. Now, there are 2 ways to figure that out. First, you need to get real cozy with the scoring rubric that the writers will be using to evaluate your essay. Seriously, you don't have time to be flipping back to the first page of the DBQ looking at the rubric to see if you got everything. Internalize that thing and get it right down into your jellies. Second, you need to know exactly how many sentences are required to score each point. Now, I should qualify that because there is no place on the rubric that says, if you write 3 sentences for contextualization, you will earn the point. But still, one of the most common mistakes that slows students down on this essay is to write too much. But how do you know what the right amount is? Well, that's where you need to do a little work, and I hope that you will. After you've gotten very familiar with the rubric and what it requires, you need to go to the College Board's website and look at all the past DBQs that have scored well. Seriously, if you just do this even for an hour, you will have a much better idea of how to get faster. And what you do is Google your exam with past FRQs. Then click on Sample Responses Q1 DBQ. The first 15 pages or so will be a scoring rubric with examples of what earns the point for each section and what does not. So let me give you an example. Look at what earns the point for contextualization here. It is 1 sentence, and the bigwigs at the College Board are telling you that's enough. Now, I still recommend that you write about 3 sentences for contextualization because nailing it in 1 sentence is not easy. But still, it could be that you're writing 5 or 6 sentences for contextualization and you really don't need that much. So if you cut that down, you will have more time to spare. The next thing you should do is look at the student samples in the second half of this document. The first one is the highest scoring one. It's usually a 7, and you're going to be able to see how much the student wrote in order to earn the point. If you're writing more than what is required, then you can save a lot of time by cutting down the sheer amount that you put into that paper. That's only going to happen if you put in some work and knowing exactly what is required and how long each part needs to be. Okay, right over here, I've got a lot of videos helping you with various aspects of the DBQ, and you should definitely go there next because, again, the more familiar you are with these requirements, the faster you will write them. If you need even more help, then check out my AP Essay Cram course, which is going to take you point by point through all the writing that's required on the exam. Heimler out.